So hello everyone, my name is Pavle. I'm a game designer based in Belgrade, Serbia, and my project is a VR adventure game for the blind called Mind VR. So Mind VR is a narrative-driven adventure game which completely relies on audible and haptic feedback rather than on visual to guide a player in a role of a protagonist through an interactive story driven by exploration and puzzle solving. Okay, so this was a sneak preview of what you can expect to hear and see, or rather not see in the game. Although lacking a visual component, this game is not aimed only for the blind and visually impaired people. So my goal with this game is to provide diverse experiences for different groups of players, but most importantly, to provide a compelling experience for all players. So for visually impaired people, it will provide an entertaining interactive experience that is rarely available and specifically tailored for them. For everyone else, it should provide an empathy-invoking experience and more than just a walk in a dark simulator, but more of an opportunity to undergo the challenges and issues of visually impaired people while wearing a VR headset as a kind of a high-tech blindfold. So the project is currently in pre-production phase. We have received some support for its development so far, but right now we're looking for financial support to help us cover production and development costs, and also for people interested to help us out spread the word about the project. So if you want to get involved, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can find my contact in the bottom right corner, or you can click on a follow button next to this project if you're following this through Livestream app. And I will highly appreciate that. So thank you so much. And Mike, I guess you can take it from here.
Play this once it gets released.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Oh, sorry, I was muted myself. I was saying, I'll start by saying I'm really excited to play this at the point when it gets released, so or as a beta test. So, so excited about that, and I bet other people are as well. Love to hear, like, as you thought about this, like, is there anything that inspired you in terms of other VR experiences or offline experiences? You're like, oh, I want to do this, but take this twist on that.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of things that inspire me to start working on this, but if I'm looking at other experiences that exist, you know, there are like games, and there are even a couple of games in VR that like address the subject of blindness, but they're not really playable by the blind and visually impaired, you know. And there are some projects that I've found that are specifically tailored for the blind people, but they were more of an experience that you can see in a museum, you know, as an exhibition, and not really something that is accessible to the wider audience. So my goal with this is to try to create an experience that can be, you know, available to the larger masses than just a few people, you know, who can go to exhibition.
Cool. And I guess on that mass market question, is the Oculus Quest your main target for deploying?
Yeah, actually, yeah, because you know, I really had a dilemma about which way to go, because until recently, you know, like having a high-end VR headset, you had like, it's too expensive, and you had to have like a high-end PC to run on it, you know. And on the other hand, we had like a smartphone-based VR headset that really weren't that of quality, and didn't really allow us what technology had to offer to really develop the real, you know, the experience they wanted to develop. So Oculus Quest is kind of the best thing of both. So it's mobile, has fairly low price, and it has 6 degrees of freedom, 2 controllers to allow us to really develop what we intend to develop.
Yeah, the difference in not being tethered is huge. I've experienced it. You're like, oh, I don't have to worry about tripping over a wire when I'm walking around here.
Yeah, exactly. Especially for blind people, you know, any obscuration can be, you know, too much.
I bet the audience, you know, probably not many of them are game developers. Would love to hear like what production entails from here to launch. Like, what sort of team do you need to build out? What can you do yourself? What do you need to hire out for?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, we're waiting for devices to arrive because we're in Serbia, and once we get that, we're going to try and develop, you know, a prototype, like at least 15 minutes of gameplay, And for the team, besides me as a game developer, additional, like VR programmer, developer, a sound designer, and I also want to include a musician, like a composer, to help us, because since this experience is based mainly on audible feedback, it really requires to have high quality audio, and you really can play a lot with the atmosphere, and not to uncover too much or anything about the storyline. It kind of goes between a couple of places that are very distinct to another. So kind of through atmosphere and maybe music, we can really like focus on that and give the best possible experience.
I love that. It's the budget that would have gone to the visual designer. You like will invest in the sound and the music design.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Exactly, and we have to do it, because we don't have fancy visuals to rely on. We really have to rely on good audio design.
This may be a little bit further down the line, but any thinking you've done on how you commercialize this, price point you've seen from what's out in the market? I don't know if people are willing to pay for Quest games.
Yeah, well, as far as I know, Quest games go from $10 to $60. Since our game is not a blockbuster and it's kind of a different kind of experience, maybe for people who wanted to experiment, I think it will be on the lower end of that price range. So somewhere between $10 and $20. I think that would be like a retail price for the game.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much. I think there's some more questions in the live stream. You probably can hop on and answer them via text.
Okay, definitely.
We got. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks so much, Mike.